So my name is Mr. Marks. I'm an English teacher. And when I was a little bit older than you, and before it was cool, I think nowadays everyone does it, but the chief rabbi and I said why, I went to Ghana to do some volunteer work. If you can't, I'm the one in the front, just to crowd you down, not the one in the red, that one. So I went on a specific program run by SEDEC, which was very important to me for a few reasons. One of them was I didn't want to be a sort of participant in voluntourism. So if you haven't read about that, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but it's essentially when you pay quite a lot of money to go build a hut or a school, and then it gets torn down when you leave because it's probably not structurally sound because you're not a builder, and they use the money that you spent there to sort of build a new school with real builders when you've left. I wanted to be part of something that was actually making a difference, and I think the best way to do that was rather than me as a white Western Englishman telling them, oh, you need a goat or you need this, to go and work with charities that they'd established for themselves and to help them develop their own sort of programs and projects. And SEDEC does that very, very well by supporting NGOs that are already running in Ghana and in India. So I went on a 2-month program, and I was working with an NGO called Today, which basically works mainly with the elderly, with people who are sort of vulnerable in society. So the elderly, people with diseases, and a lot of witches, people who had been accused of witchcraft and had these horrible tales. And my job was to go around northern Ghana, which is one of the poorest areas of Ghana, and to interview these various different characters as part of a survey that was going to be compiled for the government about the vulnerabilities of the elderly and sort of the victimised, and to sort of present that to the government in order to try and sort of instigate some sort of socialism or social policy that will support them. I don't have that many pictures of the witches, unfortunately, because a lot of them, as you probably guessed, are quite superstitious. But I have one. So this is all these photos I took when I met them. This is Mogi, as you can see, and she was the head of the witch camp in Gushagu. And she had this horrible story. You can sort of read on the board if you can't bother to listen to me talk. And I know I talk quickly, so that might help you as well. But she lent some money to her nephew, and then realised, or then the nephew was bitten by a snake, and the family. Because when they talk about witchcraft, it's not like voodoo witchcraft, it's more like a superstitious evil eye, a red bracelet in the cartel type witchcraft. And they believe that she cast her evil eye as a childless woman. She cast her evil eye on her nephew. The nephew was bitten by a snake, and her own family beat her till she was bloody and unconscious, threw her on the back of a motorbike in her 60s, and drove her out to the middle of the desert. In that desert, she was able to find the witches' camp, and there she was sort of supported. But essentially, that was sort of my main role, sort of finding out about their lives and documenting it. And I put like a page on Facebook with like a logo for all these different characters. But after that, essentially, I was just traveling around Ghana looking for sort of elderly people who were struggling. And 2 of the people I met, when I've written their names down, I was a few years ago. So Mariama here, and her very cheeky husband, Jaguar. And I asked her, when I first saw her, the first thing she said to me was, oh wow, a white man! I love white men! And obviously, with her husband there, I felt slightly uncomfortable. But also, I was shocked because for the first time ever, I was like thinking of myself as a white man. And it's not to say I thought I was anything else beforehand. I have no sort of, I don't particularly like any genre of music. I like music generally. I was just shocked at this notion that I was white. Because I never really considered my race as a facet of my identity. I thought about the fact that I was Jewish and I stood out. I thought about the fact that I was male and the privilege that might come out. I never really thought about being white. And then I realised that why had Tulip chosen me? Because I had to apply to work for a charity. And I thought, well, they want me to compile a report. Maybe it's my English skills. Maybe they knew that I was a writer, that I'd won competitions, that I was erudite, and therefore I'd be able to convince the Ghanaian government to support these people. But it wasn't the case. The only reason they chose me was because I was white. And essentially, people in Ghana had been so systemically challenged by society, they were no longer trusting of a black man to support them or to help them, a local. They needed someone from the Western world to come, otherwise they wouldn't bother telling them their problems because they didn't believe it could be solved. And it was interesting to me that as a white man I had that power to sort of discover things. And the second thing she said, which was fascinating, because I asked at the end of my interview, what would you like to be? If you could be anything in the world, any job in the world, what would you like to do? And she said, I want to be a weaver. I found that fascinating because there were so many weavers. That was essentially the go-to job if you had enough money to afford the string. So that sort of low aspiration as a function of her poverty was something that I found quite shocking. And it's something that's sort of fascinating as I continue my interviews. And this is the next dude I met. So he was someone I spoke to because he didn't have health insurance, because he didn't understand how it worked. And my favourite part of his interview was I asked at the end, maybe flippantly, given the seriousness of his situation, if you could be an animal for a day, what would you choose? Expecting the national animal maybe an elephant or an eagle. He went for a cow. Why? Because cows are big. And it made me just think about one of the white privileges that I never, or the Western privileges rather, that I never really thought about, and I guess the Western is more appropriate now in today's society, is that we have the capacity to dream and aspire to things that are much greater than we can ever probably achieve. But that ability to aspire is somewhat impossible when you're living in dire straits. And then he looks at me, it's because he's imagining being a cow. I think I took the photo at that moment. And so I was then interested in sort of what makes people happy in that society. And this is a guy who unfortunately never got married, never had children, which meant he was in a really difficult situation. I'm going to try and speed up because I was supposed to mention Peter Singer. Yeah, I'll skip through to it. So this dude, anyway, his happiest moment ever was when a man came and gave him a pair of used clothes and was able to change outfits for the first time in a few years. And I'm just going to speed through, because I do want to get to the main point, and I can see that I think 1 minute, have I got? 3 minutes. Wow, okay, awesome. So I was interested in the happiest moments of someone's sort of life, and then I met this dude, and being British really then became an issue, because this guy had congenital syphilis, which is a disease that you're born with that can be treated. And when he was younger, a doctor from England came over to Ghana and said, oh, we'll take you back to England, we'll treat you, and we'll bring you back. And he hid in a bush overnight so he didn't have to be treated, because he was terrified that he'd be made a slave. And sort of the national guilt I started to feel, recognising that because of what people in my country, and ultimately some of the benefits, I receiving a state education myself, I know that the benefits I receive as part of a wealthy economy are somewhat on the back of his fears and the reason why he wasn't able to get treated. And I think for me it was very powerful to see someone who had done it, and eventually his treatment was then administered by his father, where a hole was dug for him, because one of the issues with congenital syphilis is you end up with like bent legs. So a hole was dug for him. He was then forced to stand in the hole as they filled it and left there overnight. That's how they tried to cure his legs. It didn't work. And he's still struggling today. And I was very interested by the challenges of disability and being alone. I met this cool lady with a very interesting t-shirt who, again, you can read the stories, and I want to sort of rush on because I've only got a few more minutes. But essentially she struggled with being deaf, and this dude, we were the first people to visit him in 3 days. The night after we visited, there was a terrible thunderstorm. And I was terrified for him because he lives in a mud hut and no one visits him. And I didn't know if he'd made it to the next day, and I never was able to find out. This lot had the challenge of him, the father, being very, very unwell and needing sort of support medically. But he couldn't work in order to pay for his own medication. So his children, who had been going to school, decided they need to actually leave school and work in the farms in order to pay for their father's medication. The father was begging me to tell his children to carry on working so that they would be able to support them in the future. But the children were saying, well, at the moment, if we don't work, he's going to die. And I'm caught in the middle of a very awkward conversation, or not awkward, but a difficult conversation between a parent and a child about the value of education versus health. It's not a conversation I thought should be happening in the 20th or 21st century. This lady, there's a story about polygamy, but I feel like I'm running out of time, so I'm going to skip through to essentially, after going around all these different places, I used to come back to my little hut, my little house, with a bucket for a shower. And when I used to come, I was greeted by cries of "Soiminga hello," which was white man hello. And I used to see these kids running at me from all across the town. And then they'd look up at me with their sweet eyes, and they'd say to me, hi, and they'd want to talk to me. And I always wondered why, and then eventually I got to that they all wanted school uniforms, because they're not allowed into school unless they have school uniforms. Most of them can't afford them. And this is where I'm going to finish very briefly. I then had a challenge. There are hundreds and hundreds of kids in this village. I could afford school uniforms for quite a lot of them. I'm not a wealthy man, I wasn't working at the time. But I knew that you're talking about pounds. And I couldn't afford for all of them. And we as a group of people that were there had to make well, do we help them or not? And there's a philosopher called Peter Singer who shows at the beginning of a very, very good TED talk that he gives, a video of a van driving over a little girl in China. And after that, we then see loads of pedestrians stepping over this girl on their way to work, ignoring her. And after a few hours of that happening, the girl ends up dying. And Peter Singer says, well, that's horrendous. We're watching these people stepping over someone they could have helped, who, if she'd have got help sooner, would have survived. And Peter Singer says, what are the relevant factors which make those people morally reprehensible? He says there's two things. He says the main thing is that they could have helped. And the second thing is that they knew about it. It's not the proximity, it's not the fact that they were there, it's the fact that they knew about it and they could have helped. Because proximity doesn't make a difference. If someone was blind and didn't see the child, they didn't know about it, then they would have an excuse not to have helped. If someone wasn't able to help, they didn't have a phone or didn't have the capacity, then they also wouldn't be expected. So the main factors are that you're able to help and that you know about the challenges. My question to you as a group, and something that really challenged and bothered me on leaving Ghana is, I know that there are people like this around. Not just in Ghana. In Kingsbury, there's homeless people outside Aldi all the time. I know about their problems. I also have the capacity to help. Not all of them, but definitely some. So when I go out for a meal and I spend £10 on a main course, when I know that I can survive on £1, because that's one of the fundraisers we did to get there, that extra £9 could have gone to saving us. How can I justify to myself spending money on luxury things that I don't need when I am in a position, not only that I know about people who need money, and need support, and need help, but also that I have the capacity to do so. And that doesn't just apply to money, that applies to a friendly greeting, a warm smile, or just general support, love, and compassion. Because the truth is, whilst a lot of the people I met needed money, what they needed much more was love. Anyway, it's a short talk, and that's what I've got for you. So if you want any more details, I'm more than happy to share. Otherwise, thank you very much for being so good.